Hello, FewCandy here, and welcome back to Fewnilla County. And we're overlooking the marvellous downtown from the spot that we're going to be working on today, which is going to be the ore industry. Finally, we've unlocked this tile. So I was debating between this and our district over here, but we do currently have more industrial demand than we do residential, so we're going to be going for this. And yeah, we've got a nice big patch of ore over here. There's actually a tiny bit on the other side of the mountain as well, so we could potentially do something with that. That's obviously outside the tile boundaries, and over here too. So two nice big blobs that I think we can work with here. There is a little bit joining it up in the middle, but I want to try and create a pretty huge ore area because I don't think there's really any other places that will probably use this on the map. It's all kind of quite far out, so this really is going to be it from an ore point of view in Fewnilla County. So let's just start by tying off this highway exit, and I don't think we need a junction into this district. They've got a slip road in there, right out here. I think it's a little bit unnecessary, so we'll just come out into a roundabout this side. So let's grab a 3-lane road and plop that in. And that was a darn sight more difficult than I thought it was going to be. But there we go, we've got that in. I do actually just want to also get in a little train station over here before we start coming on to build out the ore area, because I think that's going to be important for getting workers here. And also, I feel like this is probably an appropriate place for a station. It's a decent enough away from the other stations. We've got one in the middle of the district there, and of course the one by the airport. So I think it will serve this little neighbourhood quite nicely here. So let's just flatten this piece of ground because it's a little bit bumpy here. And then we'll add in a road like that we can place our station up against. And I think we are just going to use the Railroads of Japan. Nice, simple ground station here. So let's delete out this section of track. We're having to put it on this side of the road as well because that is the side with our internal lines on. So we don't really want to get it on the international line, so I feel like that's a little bit better. I also want to pull this line back just a little bit because this station is obviously two-sided. So yeah, we don't want a train track almost immediately running right outside the other side of the station. That is the one problem with it actually. Maybe we use the historical station instead. Yes, let's do that. That'll do nicely, and then let's just hook this up. I think we're just going to go for a plain, simple, straight connection down into the station for now, just so at least it's got services coming into it. Let's also grab our line and make sure we've got an actual stop here. There we go, and that should be good. We also do want to provide pedestrian access over to the ore industry because clearly that's the main purpose of this. So I think we're actually going to use the university path for this, which has the nice blue railings on it. So let's just very simply come up over here. Let's see if we can get it down a tiny bit further to get over, which we can. Actually go even lower than that. Let's go ahead and do that, and then can we drop it back down to surface level here? So there we go, so we have got pedestrian access over now. We'll do a bit of detailing around that later on. But let's come on to the ore area. And of course what we do want to do is firstly put in our industry area. Now we're going to cover a massive area with this, just so that we're sort of hedging our bets of where we want to place things. I don't think it's going to go over this entire area, but like I said before, I do want it to be pretty big. So we'll include it all for now and see how we go. I'm thinking the main building is going to sit down here because that aligns nicely to the station. And we'll create a nice entrance, I think, at this point. We'll go into our ore industry area and get in the main building. Now, do we want it literally front and centre? I think we probably do. Of course, this is going to upgrade, so we can't look at it too closely right now because everything will change eventually. There we go, we've got that in, and then we want to start getting in our mines, and I'm pretty sure this bit is very deep over here. Okay, so we want to kind of keep away from the edges and more on the really, really deep part of it. And I think it is going to be a case of we're going to spam a few things and get this to upgrade first. Oh, as the helicopter comes right over. Because I would quite like to get to level 5 with this. It being the only ore area, I think that's going to be quite important. We're going to have dirt tracks, of course, running throughout it. That absolutely makes sense to me. I think we'll do a bit of terraforming around some of the extractors as well, just to add that little bit of extra realism to it. So let's bring that road up there. Let's just see where that sits with the dark line of ore. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. So we can start to come in and place some of these extractors in here now. And like I said, I'm just going to place in a few randomly. We'll come back and replace things once we've got some of the larger extractors in. We do absolutely want to get the ore grinding mill in. And I think it'd be quite nice to sort of integrate these in and amongst some of the other areas as well. So I'm thinking maybe we have a little one up the hill at this point, which would also add quite a nice dynamic partway up the hill. Again, we may move this all around, so for now it's a spamming job. We'll see where we get to. Of course, we definitely want storage, and these are pretty large, so it's going to be challenging to get them in on flat land and make it look nice. But we'll give it a go. I'd quite like these somewhere by the entrance. I feel like that's probably an appropriate place. So potentially if we wrap actually our main building in our industrial road. It is on a bit of a slope, but I think we can get away with that. And we can add a nice big raw storage. Raw ore storage, should I say. It's a little bit of a tongue twister. Right behind it here. So if we just take a little look at our industry area, we have 235 worker capacity. We only need 150. So this is going to be a case. We've got 72 in at the moment. Oh, it's going up. It's going up. This is, yeah, we're going to get there easily, I think, at the rate that that's going up. So this is going to be a case of waiting now to go up a few levels. So I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to spam until we get to probably level 3. And then we'll come back in and start talking a little bit more about the design of this area. So we've hit level 3 and unlocked a whole bunch more stuff. So I'm going to keep it on 3 speed for the moment, and we're going to have a little look at a couple of things. Now, firstly, cargo. We have a big cargo train terminal. Where is it? Over here. And yeah, this is pretty operational. We've got the cargo warehouse, of course, and the main cargo station over here. We do also have a cargo airport, of course, in the middle. However, I kind of don't want trucks really to filter essentially back down the highway and through to that cargo terminal. So I think actually, because we've got the international train line here, adding in a cargo rail right here would probably be a really sensible thing to do. So I'm just going to put in the bog standard one for this, and I quite like it as close as we can get it to that other train line. So I'm thinking about there. I feel like that's slightly too far forward to get this line back in nicely, so we kind of need to bring this road down a little bit. So let's get rid of that for a second, and we're going to go back to our industrial roads here, and we'll just bring this out just that little bit closer. Now this is a bit wonky on the terrain, so let's actually just smooth out a little area here. This may be tricky to get the train line to. I'm probably not going to keep that glass manufacturing plant there either, but that will do for the moment. Let's put in a road like this. And that's too close. So we're talking really minimal degrees here, actually, off the road that we've already got, which is quite annoying, actually. How about if we do that? Yes, we can get that in. But we'll hopefully be able to join up this line nice and smoothly. If we go back from over here, actually, to start off with, let's just join that up into there. And then we'll see if we can follow this line round a little bit and make sure it's not too unsensible, as it were. Do something like that. I don't think that slope's too bad, actually. I mean, it's probably too steep for a train. The train police will be onto me, but it's okay. Let's actually get rid of that. Let's actually go quite a lot further round, and we'll kind of almost go round this tree over this side and join it back up into the track over here. Okay, that's a bit better. That's not quite as steep. I think that's pretty manageable there. So we've got our cargo rail terminal in. So that should hopefully help with kind of getting this ore cargo essentially out of the city nice and easily, or indeed to other parts of the city, including the airport as well. So it will have access via these tracks to the rail terminal at the airport, and also, of course, our other cargo airport if we need to divert goods around the city. So that's kind of point 1. Let me just actually check. Have we got enough workers and things to get to the next level? We don't. So let's just do a tiny bit more spamming. Okay, that'll do. And then the next thing I want to look at is something we unlocked at level 2, actually, which is the industrial steel plant. So what I'd quite like to do is do a kind of industrial town around here and have this as the sort of focal point, or the origin of it, essentially. So all the workers used to work at the industrial steel plant, and we're going to tuck it back into the mountains round about here is my plan. So let's just firstly delete out some of these trees we've got in here so that we're not putting buildings on top of them. As the city gets larger, that may impact us. And then we want to bring a road up to it. So I think we'll just use a plain concrete road and start diverting it up the hillside over this side, and then probably curve it back in, hugging this little hill that we have here. And then this can take us up to the actual steel plant. So we want to kind of make quite a nice feature out of this, I think, and the terrain again is going to be bothersome. So we'll put it in, yeah, there we go. And we'll tidy it up afterwards. So let's grab flatten terrain tool and we'll flatten out the edges around our steel plant, because that's just going to give us a little bit more breathing room to smooth things out and work with that terrain here. And so now we can come in with the smooth tool and just help this sit in a little bit better. So it's going to sit in this kind of nice little bowl at the back here. But I actually think from around the city, this is going to look cool because it is slightly elevated. Those big smokestack chimneys on it as well will stick out quite nicely, even across this little hillside ridge, I suppose you could call it, around the outside. So I'm quite enjoying that placement. We do need to get warehouses and storage and things like that in around it. So that is the next thing to have a look at. So I definitely think having more ore storage in here would be hugely beneficial. I would also quite like quite a lot of car parking actually as well. So let's just trim back this road here and we can get this in so that we can fit car parks in down the side. We turn snapping on, get to a nice point where we're hugging the road here. And we'll come into our car parks. I think we'll have two big large car parks for this. Of course that terrain still needs a little bit of flattening out there. Those car parks don't look too bad. And that'll do nicely. And then we can join this road back in a bit more smoothly, like that. And let's also convert this to one with no parking on it, so people aren't parking in front of the car park area. And then let's look at storage. So I'm thinking storage could probably go in this back area up here so it can feed the factory really nicely, but also be slightly separated from it. So I don't mind too sharp a turn there. I think that's okay. Let's come back into our ore industry to start off with, and let's do some big ore storage. So we'll add that in there. Again, we're gonna have issues and constantly be having to tidy up terrain in this area, but that's okay. I think once it's all in, it's going to sit in pretty nicely indeed. So let's go like that. Let's also grab an industrial road for this, so it's a little bit more worn down. And we'll go like that. Now this supplies, all it needs, yeah, is metals, and it makes steel products. So 2 warehouses here will be absolutely plenty. So I'm thinking possibly we go for a warehouse yard and a small warehouse combo here, because they do look quite nice next to each other with those 2 yards. So let's change this one to metals, and then we'll change this one. Actually, we'll have the larger one on metals, and let's change this to unique factory products. That's taking our steel products from there and storing it in our warehouse yard over here. So that should be quite good. I know the ore storage obviously doesn't actually need to be here, but I just think it fits in quite nicely. Just realising that now after I've placed it and tried to hide that fact, but there we go. Now I also think around it might be quite nice to add in a bit more of an admin headquarters building. So I'm thinking one of these district office buildings from the Modern Japan content creator pack here would fit in quite nicely. It's got that sort of concretey industrial vibe to it. So I think that probably makes sense to go outside it. And I think we will upgrade these roads as well to industrial roads outside here. I don't mind the car park one. Let's do this just so that's giving us that little bit more worn down effect. We can bring that probably down to about there, but when we come in to put in the village, we'll probably change that up a little bit. I think we'll actually move this back a tiny bit. Yeah, so something more like that looks pretty good to me. And then we could potentially do some sort of communal areas outside the front of here. Maybe even actually adding in some ore barracks could be kind of cool here. So let's just check, because we have unlocked those now, whether our industrial district, no it doesn't, spreads around to here. So let's do that. And then if we go into our ore industry area, we do now have the oil workers barracks. So this could be pretty cool for up here too. Can we slot in 2? Oh, we can't. That is a shame. That is a shame. Okay, I'm going to readjust this very slightly so we can get 2 in. But yeah, there we go. And I feel like some green space or something would be nice outside the front of here. I'm wondering if we can fit in a small hotels and retreats cafe maybe for the workers. which I know feels like a slightly odd place, but there is one that's kind of industrial looking. Yeah, the red brick one. I quite like that. And then we can have more of a communal garden area around here. And then I quite like how the road comes up in between these two hillsides here too. Will give for a nice effect, so we can do a lot more detailing around this when we come to do it. And we're having garbage problems over here. So I do wonder if it is time to add in another little bit of recycling somewhere. So we could incorporate a recycling centre into this area potentially. Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe up the side here would be good. Let's go to our garbage facilities. We also actually haven't put in the waste processing complex. So we probably need to come in and do that sometime before the city gets too big. But I feel like for now, maybe even a couple of recycling centres could potentially fit into here quite nicely as sort of outhouse buildings. Maybe it's doing some extra stuff in around the factory here. Hopefully we can imagine that. But yeah, there we go. We'll come back to that and do more detailing in the time-lapse later on, but that's sort of the main setup, I think, for our steelworks, and I do quite enjoy how that looks on the top of the hill there, yeah. So let's just have a little look at how things are going. We're almost up to level 4 now, so I think, again, I'm going to continue spamming. We'll get up to level 5, and then we'll come back and we'll start actually designing out our ore area. We've made it to level 5! Very exciting indeed, so let's just slow the game down a second. In fact, we're going to hit pause because we are going to delete out pretty much everything here. I know it's a giant waste of money, but we're making decent money at the moment, so I'm okay with that. We're kind of slowly recovering from the ridiculous loss that we made placing all of those unique buildings in the downtown. We lost a lot of money from that, but we're recovering. 7 million, almost 8 million in the bank. Not bad at all. Now I'm actually going to leave some of these road networks, so I actually don't mind how they sit over the hill. In particular, this little one here I want to have a look at to start off with, because I feel like having one of these big plants right up here on top of our main collector road would be quite impactful. I'm thinking probably the fiberglass plant would be a nice place for this. I did actually originally have the glass manufacturing plant in, which also looks quite good there. But yeah, I think this is probably the one that we want to use. So let's actually just draw in a nice straight road, like so. And that can have this one positioned up against it if I get the right asset here, or something like that. I'm thinking in terms of orientation, yeah, I'm quite happy with that actually. So I'm wondering if maybe it should be flipped the other way round, but that looks pretty good to me. I do just want to come in and flatten this a little bit, just so that's just a touch smoother there. And then we can go ahead and smooth out the banking this side, I think, so it blends in a little bit more naturally. And let's bring this road right up to the end. And let's bring this road right up to the end, if I can get my snapping points right. Something like that will be absolutely fine. Now it is kind of annoying that we've got the concrete surface versus the gravel, but there's nothing we can really do about it in the vanilla game, so I'm pretty content with that. And I really like how that looks, actually particularly with the steel plant in the background there. It's really quite nice. Now the other monster asset I do want to have a think about is the rotary kiln plant. Now this is huge. And I'm thinking maybe it might be quite nice actually somewhere up here near the steel plant. It kind of has that similar sort of very heavy industry vibe to it, doesn't it? So this is probably a good place. Let's actually extend our ore area up here, because I'm wondering if we can place it just a tiny bit up on this hill, because I'm realising actually this isn't that raised. But I think we'll still see those smokestacks over the top, and if we have the rotary kiln behind it, then it will definitely stand out a little bit more as a bit of a viewpoint, focal point. Not that we really necessarily want dirty industry to be a focal point of our city, but there we go. So if we bring this road up here, that is going to slope up quite heavily, but it should give us some nice layers within our ore industry area at least. So let's bring that out flat like that. We'll go back and grab the rotary kiln and place that in there. Now, do we like that orientation, or do we prefer seeing it side on? That's what I am wondering now. Potentially side on actually is better, so we could just bring this road straight out here. Yeah, there we go. I do think I prefer that orientation a little bit better there. I'm wondering if we can squeeze in 2, which may be massive overkill, but could potentially look kind of cool on the top of the hill here, I think. We come out straight across like this. We squeeze another one in here. It's saying slope too steep, of course it is. I don't mind that. I'm a little bit torn. Maybe it's a bit overkill, but I think it will do. Yeah, I think it will do. We definitely need a lot of detailing in around here to help these sit in a bit better. And I'm also just going to fix this road so it comes up really nicely up to the end of this car park here. We don't really need more car parking in because there's quite a bit actually against both of these assets already. So I'm pretty content with that, I think. And we just want to smooth off some of this landscape so it comes in a little bit closer and hugs those rotary kiln plants, I think. Would be a nice look. And of course, we need some rocks and some natural detailing around that to help it sit in a bit better. But that feels pretty grand on the back of the hill there and keeps it really nicely away from where the village will be as well. That really heavy industry style stuff. I'm wondering if we could slot in another glass manufacturing plant behind here. So we could bring out a little extra side road like this, or something similar to that at least. This might be getting a tad close to where the village is going to sit. We may have a few little problems with pollution there. Let's keep it back like that. I don't mind that too much. It creates quite a nice little industry area, I think, on this corner. And I would also actually like to connect up this road here because I feel like that would make sense, will help keep traffic flowing around nicely out towards our industrial steel plant as well. Yeah, liking that placement. Now let's have a little talk about the actual extractors here for a second. So we've got this massive space here, we've also got this, and I'm kind of thinking I would really like to get one of the huge tooth extractors in here somewhere, or at least one of them. So potentially that space would work for it. I'm thinking here I quite like the division of the little ridge in the middle of it, so I don't want to spoil that too much. We could potentially put another one in behind here, but that might be a bit overkill, so I'm hoping we can get something on this hill here, but it's going to sit in really awkwardly because of the terrain. So yeah, let's just have a little play around with this. Yeah, I don't mind that too much. We've kind of made it sit in its own little sort of basin. And it's not too bad. If we get a few larger rocks in, I think around it, it will help to blend it in a little bit better. So I'm kind of quite content with that actually. I'm wondering if we could potentially get another one in here though. So let's actually just go to landscaping tools to start off with. And I'm going to just dip this down a little bit and then level it off here. We may need to, yeah, let's actually do that. Let's delete this road out the back and then we'll level this down just a little bit. And in fact, actually, we probably want to come down just a touch further than that, just so it's sunk in really nicely into a little pit here. So it really is actually like an ore mining pit to an extent. I'm thinking something like that, and I quite like it on a bit of an angle here, just to add that little bit of extra interest to our skyline of our ore industry area, if we can call it that. Now it is super long, so I've definitely not allowed enough room for this. Let's come back to about here. Let's just turn off snapping so we're not going into those guidelines. Come back to about here, and then let's see if we can get this in, which we can. Lovely. So yeah, I'm quite enjoying that with those two massive toothpicks there. We'll obviously need to blend this in a little bit better, but we can come on to that. And then let's just actually snake this road around just a tiny bit, so that it comes out of the pit nice and smoothly, which that does not. So let's go to slope tool, we'll go to our smallest one, and then we're just going to gradually slope that up in a bit of a curve around there and help this sit in a little bit smoother. Yeah, like that. Yeah, quite happy with that. So that gives us two massive excavators, and then some of the other smaller excavators, I would like to use some of the medium ore mines a little bit higher up. I'm thinking possibly up here somewhere would be quite good. Let's just check again that raw resources. Yeah, we'll be absolutely fine up there. And it would be good to probably have some more extraction around here as well, but probably not this middle section. So let's grab our dirt road again, and we'll bring out a road that's going round the top of the ridge this time. and out into this little open area here. Now we need to kind of judge the size of the extractor really, be able to place the road as accurately as possible, because I would quite like that ore sort of pit as close up into the mountainside as we can get. Well, that's not too bad. Yeah, I don't mind that. Can we actually also add a smaller ore extraction area around this side here, is what I'm wondering now. So if we just come out at a slight angle, something like this. Again, we can sort these roads out in a second, but if we add that on top of the hill, it just gives us a few more props, and we can add some rock props and things like that around it too. Now in terms of the mines, it might be kind of nice to have a couple of these layered up here. There's something like this, which is kind of flowing down in a bit of a pattern there. I don't mind that. Again, that kind of looks quite cool. Then we do also have another patch over here that we could utilise. A very small patch actually. So we'll go back into roads. We'll bring out a road here. Then let's just bend this round just a touch. And straight like that. Can we fit in another ore mine crane? And this just really starts to sort of spread it out over the hillside, which I really, really, really enjoy. I'm wondering, could we also potentially fit another mine at the top here? We can. That does give us quite a few extractors. I wonder if we press play now, actually, let's have a little look at the industrial area. So we're down to 835 workers. I think that's okay. That's still a decent amount, and our industry demand has also dipped and our residential has gone up, which is what we want to see for the next area we want to build. So I think that's okay. I would also like to dot in a few of the other processing buildings, so particularly the ore grinding mill I think sits really nicely in and amongst some of these assets, so something like that on top of the hill would probably be quite nice. Again, we've got another space here which we could try and squeeze in, although I would like to redo this entranceway actually as well, so let's come back to that. Let's come back to that in just a second. Can we squeeze in another ore grinding mill at the top here? We can, which just fleshes out that little crane mine that we have there too. I'm just thinking in terms of glass, we've only got the fiberglass plant and the glass manufacturing, whereas we've now got too small and too large of the metals. So we definitely want to bring in a bit more glass to balance this out, so probably another fiberglass plant will be needed somewhere here. I'm wondering if we could kind of tag it onto the side of this as a little bit of a complex here. It just helps to bulk out this small industrial area here. I'm wondering if that's maybe a little bit close to the road for what we want, but we can start to draw that ore fence round when we come to the detailing as well, so I think that'll be okay. We also have the massive ore storage, the red shed, which I would quite like to use somewhere, and I'm thinking maybe we have a little bit of a worker's yard down here, potentially even another entrance actually into the ore area this side. So if we come out with a little bit, oh yeah, I want it at a slight angle, so let's actually do it on this corner here, a little bit of industrial road like that. Then we'll join up the dirt road here, and then we could place in our large red ore storage here. Yeah, I don't mind it, I don't mind it. We also, of course, have the ore maintenance building, which would be good to include because that's going to help our efficiency around the area. So we could have that in here, and then we could also, just for the sake of it, honestly, have some more barracks in here too. Let's add another couple of those, and I quite like the very gentle slope on this, which does then fill out this little bottom area. So I think we definitely want to come in and put some more car parks and maybe some services, maybe a tiny bit of commercial even around the bottom here to make this a bit of a service yard area. And then let's sort out this mess that we've got going on over here. So let's actually delete out this road, I think, coming along the edge here. I would still like to preserve that because I think it's quite nice next to the rail track. So we will continue it a little bit further than I had done there. We're going to delete out these for the moment. And also this storage, which we will come back and put in again. And then I'm thinking this road network could go. We can move this building now so it's more nicely aligned to our actual cargo rail terminal here. So let's bring that out straight to about this point. Can we actually, let's actually, before we join this road up, fit in some warehouses here, which I think would be nice. Potentially just the warehouse yard, which are too long, so no, just a regular warehouse will do then. Would be good to have 2 warehouses, in fact, in here. Let's just move this building. I think we're going to put it right on the end here, and actually it might look quite nice teamed up with a warehouse as well. That similar sort of white roof to it, now that it's level 5, I think feels nice and appropriate there. I do wonder if perhaps these barracks would be better over by the main entrance over here and more suited to this area. Now I do have to remember I did remove that storage, which we do want to come back in and put in. Let's actually just loop around the back of this warehouse here, and I think we will move these barracks just out to the back there. Can we then tag on a little bit more storage onto this side? That's the question. I do feel like that's slight overkill. I'm thinking maybe that might be better in the middle of our extraction area up here, which will serve some of these plants a little bit more closely. Yeah, I think that that's a little bit better. We could add in, by the point of getting a little bit more glass in, another glass manufacturing plant into here. But I am worried that the resources won't actually get to it at this point, because I did have one in there when I was doing my dummy run, essentially. And it, yeah, was constantly complaining of not enough raw resources. So I don't think that would necessarily work. It could be that it goes in the front here, like this. Adds to that complex, but then we do just want to change up this road network here, which is a little bit unfortunate actually, because the tooth excavator sat in really nicely there, but that is what it is. So one final thing before we come on to detailing is I'd actually like to add a shuttle bus line in and around this complex. Like, it's huge. I wouldn't expect Sims to walk from the station over here all the way back up to here, so I feel like that would be a nice mayoral thing to do. We could say that. So let's put in a stop right here, so it's right across the path from the main station. In fact, not there, not there. Let's say right here, because then we can loop around this section. We'll add a little another stop here so that it serves these mines at this point. Then we're going to come up the hill and stop here so they can get to this processing unit and the mines here. Another one down here. Another one by our main maintenance building, which will serve this area quite nicely. And then we'll come on up into the industrial steel plant itself. So I think we'll stop here and then potentially one just outside this office. And then we're just going to very simply loop this back on itself so that we've just got one to and from line here, which I think will serve that district pretty nicely, like that. If we also go into our bus routes here, I definitely want to change this to the minibus because I feel like that would be nice here. I'm not sure the capacity, because it's only a capacity of 20, I believe. I'm not sure the capacity is really going to be enough. But hopefully it will be. Hopefully it will be. It's just taking all workers to and from where they need to be from this train station. So we'll keep an eye on it and we'll see how it does. But let's now just finish this off with an absolute ton of detailing. Okay, so let's have a little look at our brand new ore area in Fewnilla County. And actually, before I do that, I am absolutely loving the views from up in these cliffs down towards the downtown. It's just awesome with the trains going past as well. We can see traffic on the motorway. It's very satisfying. It's very satisfying indeed. Particularly like this one. We've got this massive ore crane in front of all of these houses in high density. I think once we fill out this neighbourhood here as well, we'll get a new perspective on that. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to have these bits filled out around it. But here we go. We've still got planes flying very, very low over our hillside here. But they do have pretty decent clip. Like, that's not bad. That's not bad. So I haven't lowered it. I know there are a lot of calls to lower this after having put in this airport, but I'm kind of okay with it. So here we go. We've done lots of trees and rocks around this. I think it's pretty tough really to detail an ore industry area in vanilla because there's only a certain amount of things that you really can do. So we've very much overused the rocks and overgrowth around some of these mines. So some of this looks a little bit dodgy up close. Maybe we won't zoom in that far. But using a bit of overgrowth, which in vanilla on PC at least does help to overlap the edge of some of the plots, I think is helpful. Like here, for example, around the back of this, it just helps to break up that really stark line in the gravel surface there. We haven't done that all over, but in a few places at least. I did come in and add in some of the zoned ore industry as well, of course. So by having the yellow zoned industry in here as well, it means we're also satisfying our generic industry needs, which is important. So you do need industries DLC buildings as well as zoned specialised industry buildings to be fully sustainable and functional in your production chains in your city. So a little bit of advice there. So we've got just a small amount of it dotted around in various places, like this little section here. I love the 1x1 things. It's basically trash. It's like my ideal little prop scenario. And the little drills as well are particularly cute. I just find it a little bit of extra proppage around some of these big ore mine assets. Around here we've not really done much, added in a car park. I did do, or attempt to do, a little bit of vanilla prop work here. So, okay, maybe we don't look this close, but we have got some ceiling lights in to kind of show our glass manufacturing maybe going out of our cargo station over here, is my thought behind that. I also use some of the signal boxes from Railroads of Japan. There's little prop assets down here, a few bins, and then of course this little extra building as a bit of admin and maintenance around our cargo depot here. So I think it sits in alright. It's not too bad with a bit of fencing around it and some of those hashed parking, no parking decals. Loving that. Our bus is also super functional. So actually there's quite a few people waiting here who weren't just picked up unfortunately, but the actual usage of it is pretty consistent all the way around our ore mine, so I'm quite pleased with that. I think it's working pretty well, and actually having the minibuses isn't too bad from a capacity point of view. And now we've got a whole bunch of trucks coming out of here. Yeah, just had a delivery in, maybe, not too sure. But lots of people using the train station crossing over the bridge and then coming down to our bus stop here, which I just absolutely love to see in terms of the logistics of it. I think some of the rocks have worked pretty well up this hillside here. It sort of blends it in a little bit, makes it feel a little bit rougher than just having some of that cliff texture surface there. And I did start to be very purposeful with the trees, like filling in certain areas of it, but of course a lot of these rock assets actually have trees around them anyway, so dotting in a few here or there I think has helped to blend those in a little bit better. We're really liking this sort of tiered approach up here in particular. Yeah, enjoying that. We did a little bit of a makeshift. It's, again, slightly dodgy up close, so we just look from slightly further away. It gives a nicer effect. We've got a little bit of vanilla surface painter going on in here with a few just gravel paths. A little bit of overgrowth sneaked in between them, and I realise you can't do this on console because of that collision mesh around some of the overgrowth, but you can on vanilla PC. So a nice little trick for the PC users there at least. Just a bit of fencing around it, some rocks. Gives quite a nice effect to that little blank area behind the glass manufacturing plant there. And yeah, loving how this sits in with the rocks and sort of sheltered, so when you're on the road you can see this toothpick mine thing floating right up. You can see the entrance into it there, but it feels nice and snug and like it is actually digging into the landscape, at least a little bit, so pleased with that. Added in our 3 basic services here, of course, as well, so that we've got access all around the ore mine, keeping our workers happy and healthy and everyone's safe. A couple of little more zoned buildings up here too, which I think just helps to flesh out that area a little bit, and again, add some more utilities and props in around some of these bigger mines, which are kind of lacking in them, to be honest. Like, got 2 water tanks for whatever reason here, and that is pretty much it on these big cranes. Then as we come on over here, we've just done a little bit of tidying up around our main admin office here with a little gazebo for our staff members. I did actually decide to just put a car park in here because I thought that was kind of appropriate next to the barracks, so I think that works quite nicely. And then, yeah, lots of natural detailing around it to help it sit in, so I think the overall effect is actually really quite nice. I'm quite enjoying it, and watching the traffic go around it as well is quite satisfying because it's such a big area. You don't really notice too badly that influx of trucks that you get in vanilla in your industry, so yeah, pleased with how it sits, and it sits into the city pretty nicely overall as well. It's quite a substantial, large area. But once we get our suburbs in here and around here in particular, I think that's going to blend in pretty nicely into our city. Now, of course, we need a name for our ore mine, so I'm actually going to leave this one up to you guys. Please let me know your suggestions in the comments below, and we'll give it a funny, witty, or just clever name. Let's face it, on a future episode. So let me know those suggestions in the comments below, as well as other suggestions for what to do with some of these outskirts and suburban areas around our downtown that need filling out across Fewnilla County. But for today, that is going to be it. So if you have enjoyed the episode, likes, comments and shares are really greatly appreciated. And don't forget, you can pick up the Industries DLC via my instant gaming link in the description below if you haven't already got that. But that is all from me for now, so thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned for the cinematics, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye!